What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Seahawks Now, your home for all things daily Seahawks news, updates, rumors, all of that good stuff. Today, guys, we're talking about Micah Parsons again. Maybe I'm just beating a dead horse at this point, but I really think that there could be a potential Micah Parsons trade coming soon, and if it does happen, these boys in blue gotta go get him. Also, we continue our wide receiver draft target series, talking about Nick Nash out of San Jose State. By the way, we're almost done with wide receivers, so comment down below after I'm done with the receivers, what position do you want me to look at next? Would you want me to look at quarterbacks? Would you want me to look at running backs, tight ends, defensive linemen, offensive linemen? Let me know down below what position would you like to see me cover next, because we got 2 or 3 more receivers to talk about, and then we're going to be moving on to the next position group. And then finally, is Jody Allen potentially going to sell the team here coming up? We discussed that at the end of the video. But first, Micah Parsons. The news today, the Cowboys, the Jerry Jones has no urgency on signing Micah Parsons to a record-breaking extension. And I'm saying the Seahawks should call. Look, I don't know how feasible it is. I know Micah Parsons likes being in Dallas. I know the Dallas Cowboys like having Micah Parsons. But at some point, if the numbers on the extension are not there, if the numbers are not aligned, maybe there is something there. Maybe there could be, why can't the Seahawks go out and get Micah Parsons? You know what I mean? Like, at some point, if there's not an extension, if those numbers are not aligned, they're going to have to figure something out. And a trade is possible. And I think the Seahawks should be calling. Anytime that there's even a possibility of getting a game wrecker like Micah Parsons, you have to be in on it. You have to be in those conversations. You have to be at least figuring out, in the event that the Dallas Cowboys make Micah Parsons available, what would he be worth? I think he'd probably be worth 2 first-round picks, maybe more than that. Probably 2 first-round picks, and in addition to something else, right? And I think that, that doesn't necessarily mean that the Seahawks can't afford him, because we can give future first-round picks, we can give future third-round picks, fourth-round picks. We have players. And if you add Micah Parsons, just think about how good that makes your defensive line to bring in, Parsons, Lawrence, Mafe, Nwosu, Big Cat, Leonard Williams, and Byron Murphy. That's probably the best group of defensive linemen and edge rushers in all of football, right? It probably is, and it probably makes your defense the best defense in the league when you also think about the talent in the secondary between Witherspoon, between Reek Woolen, who is still talented even though he maybe had a down year last year, Julian Love, who's been a Pro Bowler before. I mean, the Seahawks already have a stacked defense in terms of talent, but if they add Micah Parsons, they suddenly might have the best defense in the league. And when you're a team with a defensive-minded head coach, defensive-minded general manager, your whole thing kind of has been defense, then yes, you need to consider making this move. You have to. There's no other way for me to say it. Micah Parsons is one of those few guys in the league that you are willing to trade multiple first-round picks for. That's how good he is. He's a game wrecker, a game changer. He's like, he's like a Joey Bosa, a Nick Bosa. He's like a TJ Watt. He's like a Khalil Mack. That is what he is. That's what he has the potential to be. Max Crosby. That is who he is. And I continue to beat this dead horse, because even if there's a small chance that he's available, even if that chance is this small, you have to have that conversation. You just have to. I mean, there's no other way around it. If you're not having that conversation, at least thinking about it, then I don't know what you're doing, right? Because he's a player that makes your team instantly better. All right, let's move on to the draft. Nick Nash could be a day 2 or 3 wide receiver draft target. If you've never heard of Nick Nash, that's okay. I hadn't heard of him either until the San Jose State football team went and played against my school, Washington State, actually, and Nick Nash really kind of destroyed my school. So here's what we got on Nick Nash. Last year, 1,382 yards, 104 receptions. He caught 16 touchdown passes, 13.3 yards per game, 13.3 yards per reception, 115.2 yards per game. So looking at those numbers, I mean, obviously the yards jumps off the board right away. That's a ton of yards. Going for over 115 yards per game. That's insane. Even for college, 16 touchdowns in 12 games. So he averaged 1.25 of a touchdown per game. He was catching balls. He was catching touchdowns. He was catching really just all sorts of passes. He could make the contested throws. He could break open for deep routes. He was doing it all. He was doing everything for that team. And he was a true game-changing type of player. He really was. And so thinking about Nick Nash, what's the potential of bringing him in here? Is he the best wide receiver in the draft? Probably not. Then statistically he might be. But you have to understand he was playing in the Mountain West Conference, so the stats are not going to look like that in the NFL. But the stats could still look really, really good because he clearly has a ton of talent. He clearly has a ton of ability. The yards, yeah, I keep going back to this yards because 1,300 yards and 16 touchdowns. Nobody does that. These days, nobody does that. Even if you are in the Mountain West, that's still ridiculously impressive marks. So, yeah, I do think that Nick Nash can be an absolute game changer for this team. I think he can be a really good player. I'd be very interested to see, where he goes in the draft because I've seen him mocked all over the place from the 3rd or 4th round. Some people thinking he's maybe a 5th or 6th round guy. He'll definitely go somewhere. Again, I don't know what his ceiling is, but he can already, I think, easily be a wide receiver 3, maybe even a wide receiver 2. That might be in his future where obviously I think we always need to be thinking about the future as far as wide receivers go, especially when you don't have maybe a superstar quarterback. So yeah, I think he'd be good. He's a little bit on the older side. He's 24 years old, 6'2", 1.5, 203 pounds, 31 size arms. His athleticism score was only a 65, but his prospect grade comes out to a 6.2. He will eventually be a starter. So they believe he will eventually be a starter. They don't say he has upside to be an elite starter, but they do think he'll be a starter. 4.57 40-yard time. Some of his strengths, he's a 6th-year senior, dual threat quarterback. He was actually a quarterback at first, so kind of like a Julian Edelman type of guy. He's not the fastest or the quickest, but when the ball goes up, he has a great chance of winning. He swept all the major receiving categories last year. He led all of college football in yards. He led all of college football in touchdowns. Yeah, he was first-team Associated Press All-American, first-team All-Mountain West. He was a finalist for the Blittenkoff Award for the nation's top wide receiver. His 13.3 yards per game, tied for second in all of college football. Also tied for second with 104 receptions. He did not play in the Hawaii Bowl, but yeah, he started 12 games. Yeah, I mean, he also threw 2 touchdowns, by the way. So he still has that arm. He threw 2 touchdowns. So yeah, he could totally be kind of a Julian Edelman type of a player. I would love to see him come to Seattle. I think he's probably still a little bit underrated for the stats. The fact that they say he will eventually be an average starter is what they're saying. His comparison, he doesn't even have a comparison. They don't give him an NFL comparison. So yeah, I don't know. I think they may be a little bit low on him already. I would love to see him come to Seattle. All right, let's talk about the final topic today. The Seattle Times reporting there are no indications of Jody Allen selling the team. That's interesting because there's a lot of rumors about a month ago during free agency when the Seahawks, obviously during free agency, they were giving out all of these 2, 3, 1, basically only 1, 2, or 3 year deals. And we even talked about how there's a couple of guys that the Seahawks could have signed, but they didn't want to offer them a longer term deal, so they went to other teams. And a lot of the speculation was that, Jody Allen is maybe thinking about selling the team soon, and that's why she doesn't want to sign players to these massive contracts. She wants to kind of keep it to 1, 2, or 3 year deals instead of giving out, big years, big money to guys when she's not even sure if she'll own the team within 3 years. Well, the reports from the Seattle Times is today saying, no, the Seahawks are not selling the team soon. Jody Allen does not intend on selling. So that's kind of goes against what the speculation was. But yeah, I do think that I don't think that a sell is going to happen anytime soon. I think Jody Allen does care about this team. Clearly, she likes being the owner. Now, whether or not she's a good owner, we can debate that another time. But I think that, obviously as the sister of Paul Allen, there's a family aspect to this. She wants to honor his legacy, and she doesn't want to sell it to somebody who she can't trust. So maybe she's thinking down the line, she wants to sell it eventually, but clearly there's no plans right now. There's no plans that are being made. I think that if she does sell the team, it definitely won't be in 3 years. It might be in maybe kind of that 5 to 10 year range. And I really think that, she's going to be looking for the perfect fit. She's going to be looking for somebody who she can trust, who she knows will honor Paul Allen's legacy. And I don't think she has that yet. I don't think there's that person right now in Seattle who has earned that trust with the fan base, with the team, or with Jody Allen. With that all being said, guys, we're going to wrap this video up. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow. And as always, until next time, go Seahawks.